I want to talk about making an impact to encourage you to continue being excellent. I want you to really hear this because you don't want to stay at the same level you are. And the level where you are right now is awfully good, but the goal is to get even better, to make excellence dominant, to make excellence prominent, preeminent, zenith, number one, core, top shelf, central in your lives. Why? Because we live in a culture that values mediocrity. Y'all hear what I'm saying to you? We live in a culture that focuses on such silly things at the expense of every day being the best we can. The goal is to make an impact. I learned how to make an impact from the wisest man I ever met in my life, a third grade dropout. Boy, that's oxymoronic to say dropout and wisest in the same sentence. Listen to these lessons from a third grade dropout. If you have a mother and father that don't tolerate excuses, get on your knees and thank God for them. If you have a mother and father that demand excellence, get on your knees and thank God for them. Because one day, and you might not see it now, you will be so grateful as you're a shining example of excellence for the world to see. Son, this is what we learn with regard to making an impact. Son, you really want to make an impact every day? Don't judge people. I'm thinking, what? I didn't say that out loud. Watch this. Stay focused. Boy, I've been all over the world. I've seen good and bad in every shade. Guess what we tend to do? We tend to look at the outside of a person and judge them. Thus, we determine who we're going to impact. That's not a great person. As a matter of fact, hang in there. Get to know the person. Rise to the challenge that's right in front of you. But don't judge them based on their hair or their sex or what they drive. Hey, look up. How many of you have ever been surprised by somebody you prejudged and they turned out to be a very different person than you thought? Raise your hands. Look at there. Me too. Me too. Which tells you that prejudice is rooted in ignorance. Don't judge a man just because of the color of his skin. Don't you dare judge a man because of what he chooses to do for an occupation. Extend your hand, look in his eyes, and get to know somebody that's different from you. That's what my father was saying. And then he dropped Jonathan Swift on me, who said on one occasion, vision is the ability to see the invisible. The goal is to impact. The goal is to grow your influence. Young folks, how do you grow your influence? Turn around and look at me. How do you grow your influence? It was John Maxwell who said, influence is leadership. Listen to me carefully. Leadership is influence. Your ability to influence people within the sphere of your periphery will determine the impact that you make. In other words, young man, if you're telling the truth, thinking the best of people, doing what you say you're going to do, and not judging, your influence has just grown. You impact people all around you. Tell me more, Dad. I want to grow my influence. I want to be the best leader I can be. I want to move beyond the chains and shackles of just looking cute. I want to impact people. Tell me more. Son, you really want to do that? Show up early. Son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. How many of you show up on time? Raise your hands. I want you to stop showing up on time. I want you to stop showing up on time. Showing up on time is like offering customer service. It stinks. I want you to start showing up early. I want you to start offering customer excellence. Look up. Show up early. But my friends don't show up early in school. You're not your friends. But the class starts at 9:10. I want to be there, and be there at 9:05. Be the first one there. It sends a message. It says you value this opportunity. Great people do things that other people don't. They're always asking themselves, what can I do to get better, Brock? My dad had the breakfast to lunch shift, 5 o'clock to 1. Had to be at California Maritime Academy at 5 in the morning. The academy was 15 minutes from our house. What time did he have to be at work? How far was the academy from our house? My mother said for 30 years he left at 3:45 in the morning. My mother said, Daddy, why do you leave so early? Listen to his answer, young leaders. Don't ever forget this. My daddy said, I leave early because maybe one day one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. Tell me more, Dad. Son, be kind to people. Just be kind. What's happened to manners, young folks? What's happened to manners? They're gone. Do you know that when I was a kid, being kind was a value? Today it's a commodity that we barter to get what we think we might need. So we play situational kindness. So if important people are around, we'll be kind. That's not what a leader does. Not a leader who makes an impact. You're kind all the time. You're kind all the time. Be kind, folks. Practice kindness. How many of y'all have ever heard of George Washington Carver? Forget the sweet potatoes. Forget the peanuts. George Washington Carver said, when common people do common things in uncommon ways, they command the attention of the world. I just described your grandmother, didn't I? When common people do common things in uncommon ways, the world stops. Be kind to people. You folks are in an elite class. There are eyes on you everywhere you go. Take advantage of it. Lead the world in being kind. Do you have any idea the power a kind leader has over a leader who is not kind? Be kind to folks. Tell me more, Dad. This one changed my life. Son, make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your ego. How many of you young folks already know that ego stops forward progress? That ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Oh, there's a hallmark moment right now. You might want to write that one. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. Make sure that it's not about you, but it's about serving. It's about what you did this morning. Son, you want to be a great leader? Yes, Daddy. You want to grow your influence globally? Yes, sir. Don't ever forget this, son. If you're going to do a job, do it right. I know it ought to be do it well grammatically, but I like that old school. I'm thinking about a boy in Los Angeles. All he wanted to do was play Little League Baseball. His mother couldn't even afford to buy him a glove. He goes into the cupboard and gets a paper bag, and fashions it into a glove. Gets a tennis ball and throws a tennis ball against the back wall of his projects. When he plays Little League, he's good. I mean, he's so good that he gets a scholarship to a great ag school, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He's so good, he gets drafted by the San Diego Padres baseball team. He's so good, he helps the St. Louis Cardinals win a World Series. What are you saying, Dr. Rick? 12 years ago when Ozzie Smith walked into the Hall of Fame, he said during his induction speech, and I quote word for word this portion, all my life I've been told what I could not do, but I decided to pursue excellence, and I was guided by one motto. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better. Better isn't good enough if it can be best. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better. Better isn't good enough if it can be best. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better. Better isn't good enough if it can be best. Dr. Rigsby, what are you telling us with these lines? Like, how you do anything is how you do everything. Like, you are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Like, good enough isn't good enough if it can be better. Better isn't good enough if it can be best. What is your motive? To get you to go to the next level. To never, ever be satisfied with where you are. Because great people are not. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Great people are never sad. There's a hunger. There's a burning. They do the ordinary things better than anybody else. They're always paying attention. They're always growing. Little things like showing up early, honoring their mother and their father. They might not always agree with them, but they know and understand honor because they understand authority. Great people are always growing, young folks. They're always growing. Don't ever forget that. The majority of people that are your colleagues, listen to me, that are your friends, that are your contemporaries, where are they today? Happy to wallow in mediocrity. Look up, but you're going someplace. Act like it. You've got a vision. Act like it. You have a destiny. Act like it. What do you mean, Dr. Rigsby? You show up early. You don't slumber and sleep. You reserve leisure for just those times. Forward momentum in every area of your life. You don't accept slothfulness or laziness or mediocrity whatsoever. And when the fun times come, boy, they're going to be fun. But you are making an impact. You're making an impact. You're making an impact. Not just an impression.